The love knot of a millennial old ghost. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 1. Strange Births. In a village surrounded by mountains, there was a young girl named Sheng Guanyuns. She wasn't particularly outstanding, but she had extremely bright eyes, always shining with some unusual light. Her mother, Meng Zilan, was a very attractive woman, known locally as Fierce Man because of her fiery temper, straightforward personality and never afraid of any challenge. However, Meng Zilan's true identity is far beyond anyone's imagination. More than 10 years ago, Meng Zilan had a earth-shattering relationship with a 1,000-year-old ghost, Qing Beiming, by chance. That King Beiming is not only a well-known figure in the ghost world, but also has infinite mana and mysterious treasures, and once owned a magnificent cemetery, which contains countless treasures. Mom, is this true? Sheng Guanyuns couldn't help but ask one day. Meng Zilan glanced up at her, her smile with a hint of helplessness. It's true. There's no doubt that you're Daddy's own daughter. What about Daddy's grave? Sheng Guanyuns asked even more curiously, what about the treasure? Dignified. Meng Zilan replied coldly, your father's tomb has already been stolen, and all the treasures have been taken. As for those treasures, they are all in the provincial museum now. I don't care about those treasures. Sheng Guanyuns pouted, and couldn't help but feel a little regretful in his heart. Then why didn't Ghost Daddy leave all the things? Meng Zilan looked at her daughter, a deep emotion flashed in her eyes, and she slowly spoke, your father has his reasons, and his past is not as simple as you think. Yun Ziyi didn't ask any more, but his heart was full of questions about this life experience. She often hears people talk about the past of the ghost father, and always feels that this person is not simple, and even has some unfathomable secrets. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 2. As he grew older, Sheng Guanyuns began to realize that he was different from ordinary people. She is exceptionally physically strong, and from an early age she can feel the breath of some people or things around her, which sometimes makes her feel stressed, but sometimes it gives her strength. One day, the old man in the village suddenly walked up to her and gave her a meaningful look. Yun Ziyi, you should know something too. Your mother's relationship with Qing Beiming is not simple. Yun Ziyi looked at the old man curiously, his heart full of doubts. What do you know? The old man bowed his head and said in a low voice, the affair between your mother and King Beiming back then was not a simple love story. In fact, your mother is a person of special blood, and she is able to introduce these mysterious powers into the world. The power of King Beiming is no longer within the scope of human comprehension, and he left a part of his life force in your mother's body. After hearing this, Yun Ziyi set off a storm in her heart, and she was surprised to find that her life experience was so deeply connected with the rumored 1,000-year-old ghost. When she got home, Meng Zilan saw her doubts. You know, Ghost Daddy's power is not ordinary. When we first met, he just wanted to seek a spiritual sustenance. Later. And then there was me. Yun Ziyi interrupted, with a hint of sarcasm in his tone, but he could also vaguely feel the bitterness in it. Meng Zilan was silent for a moment before she whispered, you have been connected to him since you were a child, and the power of this bloodline is closely related to your life. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 3. The Decision of Mother and Daughter. As time passed, Yun Ziyi gradually realized that his abilities were getting more and more powerful. She is able to easily control some of the forces of nature, and is even able to perceive changes in people's hearts at certain times. Her abilities have had a tremendous impact on her life and her family. However, this power has also attracted attention from the outside world. One day, Meng Zilan suddenly told her a shocking news, the tomb of King Beiming does hide some treasures that can change fate. These treasures are not only vital to your life, but also have the potential to change the pattern of the whole world. Then why doesn't Ghost Daddy mention that tomb again? Yun Ziyi asked. Meng Zilan took a deep breath and said coldly, he doesn't care about those things anymore. The wealth he left behind was not material, but the power that was connected to fate. This power is hidden in you. As the truth gradually surfaced, Yun Ziyi began to understand that the abilities he possessed were inextricably linked to this hollowed-out tomb. She is not only the daughter of Qing Beiming, but also carries his unfinished mission. After some deliberation, Yun Ziyi and Meng Zilan decided to embark on a journey to find the King Bei tomb, hoping to solve the last mystery left by their father, recover the treasures that had been lost, and finally solve their own fate. underscore 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 un. Chapter 4: The Hidden Past. Yun Ziyi and Meng Zilan came to the provincial museum and stood in front of the cultural relics displayed in the tomb that once belonged to King Bai Ming. She looked at those strange treasures, and she couldn't help but feel an inexplicable emotion in her heart. Mom, can these things really help us? Yun Ziyi asked. Meng Zilan nodded slightly. These treasures are not just treasures, they also hide a mysterious power. Qing Baiming didn't give you everything, but he left clues about his fate in these items. At that moment, a figure appeared in front of them. It was a man in a black robe with a silver mask on his face. His temperament was extremely cold, and his eyes were sharp, as if he had an ancient power. What are you doing here? The man's voice was low and penetrating, making Yun Ziyi's heart shake involuntarily. Who are you? Meng Zilan's gaze was solemn. Why are you here? The man's gaze swept back and forth between Yun Ziyi and Meng Zilan, and a grim smile flashed in his eyes. I came to make sure that the secret of that tomb is not revealed. You two are no longer qualified to look for it. Yun Ziyi suddenly realized that he had been involved in a larger conspiracy, and this mysterious man seemed to be the key person in that conspiracy. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 5: A Twist of Fate. As a series of events unfold, Yun Ziyi finds himself not only having to face threats from the outside world, but also dealing with conflicts from his family. In this game against fate, she must find her true strength and finally unravel all the mysteries about her fate and her own fate. In the midst of countless challenges and adventures, Yun Ziyi gradually discovered that the so-called fate is not immutable. What she has is not just her father's legacy, but her own choices and strength. And in the end, how she chooses will be the key to changing the whole world. Chapter 6: The Vortex of Fate. After the mysterious man appeared, Yun Ziyi and Meng Zilan's actions became more cautious. They knew that their every step was being watched, and that the secrets of the White Tomb might be more than just a test for the two of them. There was an elusive sense of threat in the mysterious man's eyes, which made Yun Ziyi's mood never calm. This person, what does it have to do with us? Yun Ziyi finally couldn't help but ask Meng Zilan. Meng Zilan's face was heavy. She looked at the man in front of her. Her tone was calm but hidden with a trace of vigilance. His name is Liu Ziling, and he is an extremely mysterious existence, inextricably linked to King Bai Ming. This person is not simple, and it may be related to the high level of the ghost world. The upper echelons of the ghost realm. Yun Ziyi looked at Meng Zilan in surprise. She had been exploring her life experience all these years, but Meng Zilan had never mentioned anything about the ghost world. Yes, the upper echelons of the ghost realm are not levels that we can easily reach. Meng Zilan's words carried an unspeakable worry. If it is really as I expected, Liu Ziling's purpose is probably not pure. Yun Ziyi pursed his lips, and the uneasiness in his heart rose again. She understands that this battle with fate is much more than simply unlocking the secrets of the King Bai tomb. Liu Ziling's existence obviously makes things more complicated. They decided to continue investigating all the clues left in the King Bai tomb, hoping to find a breakthrough. Just then, a mysterious letter quietly arrives at their residence. The letter reads: The tomb of the blue and white shadows is no longer a place that you can easily reach. Your fate has been deeply involved in that tomb. When you step into it, you are doomed to be unable to turn back. The letter was not signed, but the tone and threat were clearly not to be ignored. Yun Ziyi's heart was beating faster, and the letter seemed to reveal some kind of hidden truth. She knew very well that she and Meng Zilan could not retreat no matter what. Underscore 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 un. Chapter 7. Yun Ziyi decided not to hold back any longer, and she and Meng Zilan agreed to go directly to the provincial museum to conduct an in-depth investigation of the treasures displayed in the King Bai tomb. She believes that these objects are not only relics of history, but also have some kind of mystery about fate. When they arrived at the museum, Liu Ziling appeared in front of them again. He stood in front of the door of the museum, his hands behind his back, his gaze deep, as if it could penetrate everything. You're finally here. Liu Ziling's voice was low, with a hint of a sneer. What you are looking for is not important to you. What really matters is whether you can withstand that power. Yun Ziyi's heart was shocked, and she finally understood that all this was far beyond her imagination. The power that Liu Ziling refers to is not only a material treasure, but an invisible power hidden deep in the King Bai tomb, an existence that can influence fate. Meng Zilan retorted in a cold tone, You said this lightly. If we don't look for it, can we let the torrent of fate push us into the abyss? Destiny is never chosen. Liu Ziling's tone was cold and ruthless. Your choice is just another path to destruction.
This conversation was not over, and Yun Ziyi suddenly felt a strong pressure rising from the bottom of his heart. She subconsciously clenched her fists, and a thought flashed through her mind. She did not intend to be bound by fate, but to choose a path for herself. So, are you ready for the challenge of fate? Yun Ziyi spoke slowly, a hint of determination flashing in his eyes. Lu Ziling sneered and did not respond, but turned around indifferently and walked towards the depths of the museum. Chapter 8 The Truth Revealed. Yun Ziyi and Meng Zilan followed Lu Ziling all the way to the basement of the museum. Here, the secret of the King Bai tomb is hidden behind several layers of stone walls. When they pushed open a heavy iron door, they were shocked by what they saw. In that huge underground space, countless precious treasures are placed, but the most striking is a sarcophagus imprisoned in chains. This sarcophagus has an ancient appearance and a strong breath, as if it contains infinite power. This is the true legacy of the White Shadow. Meng Zilan's voice carried a hint of emotion. Lu Ziling slowly walked to the sarcophagus and reached out to touch the chain. This is a taboo in the ghost world, and mortals can't easily touch it. If you want to unlock its secrets, you must be prepared to face the most terrible challenges. Yun Ziyi stared at the sarcophagus, an inexplicable power surged in her heart. She understood that she was destined to be entangled with this fate. She took a deep breath and placed her hand on the sarcophagus, ready to solve all the puzzles. Chapter 9 Final Choice. As the chains of the sarcophagus gradually unraveled, Yun Ziyi felt a strong energy release from it. The energy had an irresistible attraction that seemed to pull her soul into it. At this moment, Lu Ziling turned around abruptly and sneered, "Do you think you can withstand this power? This power will change your destiny, but it will also bring untold suffering." There was a strong power from the depths of Yun Ziyi's heart, and she suddenly understood that this power was not the answer to everything, it was more like a test of her own heart. Instead of pursuing outside powers, she chooses to take control of her own destiny. She looked at Lu Ziling firmly, "No matter what fate is, I am willing to bear the consequences for my choice." As her words fell, the power slowly melted into her body, and everything in the blue and white tomb began to disintegrate. In the end, Yun Ziyi chose his own path and solved the mystery of fate. Epilogue. The tomb of the blue and white underworld, the hidden secrets, and even the power of the ghost world have all become a thing of the past. Yun Ziyi stood in front of the collapsed tomb, looking back at the past, and his heart was full of emotion. She understands that the power she has is not a tool to change the fate of others, but to change herself and choose a path that truly belongs to her. Eventually, she walked out of the cemetery and into her own future.